Hello everyone, this is Ron from High Tech Legion, and if you have a gaming case, chances are it is loud and there are lots of fans spinning, and of course high-end components tend to run hot and they require a lot of cooling as well, and of course those fans spin at a lot of higher RPMs and they can be quite annoying. But if you're like me, then you're probably wanting something that can accommodate long, rather high-end components and long video cards, tall CPU coolers, but you also want that peace and quiet. You don't want to be distracted, and sometimes you don't want that droning noise in the back. Well, Azza has a case for you. Azza typically has cases that are oriented towards gamers. They are a lot more aggressive with their bold designs, but the Azza Silentium 920 is actually their new offering that is a little bit more understated and is aimed at those users who want a case that can support high-end components but want the noise dampened. It actually has noise dampening material all around the sides, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like, what you can find inside the box right now. The Silentium 920 is also available in white and is made of Japanese SECC steel. It is an ATX mid-tower case measuring 18.1 inches or 460 millimeters tall, and it is 8.8 inches or 2025 millimeters wide. In terms of depth, it is 19.7 inches or 500 millimeters, and it has noise dampening components inside. The 5¼ inch drive bays are covered with a door. This door actually has a stealthed optical drive bay on the top as built in, and it opens up using latches. It is not magnetic, and you can also fit 4 additional 5¼ inch external devices in there. And if you look closely behind the panel, there is also noise dampening behind that. At the lower front, you get the LED for power and hard drive right beside the power button. You have the front panel connectors for your microphone and your headphone, as well as a single USB 3.0 port and a single USB 2.0 port. There is a reset button right underneath that, and it's designed so that it sits flush with the front panel to prevent accidental pressings when you are using your case. Right underneath this area, you have ventilation so that you can draw in cool air from the front intake fan. You can pull the front bezel up by pulling from the bottom. See that the front panel I/O is hardwired and connected to the internal, and you get a filter for the front 120mm fan. It is screwed in place, so if you want to remove it, you have to unscrew it first. And also here you have space for the lower 5¼ inch drive bay is actually an external 3.5 inch bay inside, so you can only put 3 5¼ inch devices except for the optical drive. So that's 3 + 1 optical drive bay at the top. Underneath you get 4 plastic feet which have 2 rubber soles each, and these raise it by about 1 inch off the ground so that the power supply ventilation area can draw in cool air. And this ventilation area is covered with a film that acts as a dust filter. You can slide it out and clean it from time to time. It is located externally. And also there is an optional mounting here for a 120mm fan, and it appears to be that there is an optional mounting area here for a dust filter as well, should you use it. Although there is a noise absorbing material in there, so we'll see once we go inside if it is removable and can be used optionally. The top area has no ventilation holes and is quite plain. At the rear, you get a 120mm fan that is installed as an exhaust fan. You get 7 PCI expansion slots, all the covers of which are perforated for airflow. You get 2 grommeted water cooling holes, and you have the power supply mounting area right at the bottom. The side panels are secured by thumb screws, and if you look closely, there are handles, so you can easily pull out the side panels whenever you're installing a component inside. Both the left and right side panels are identical, and they are extruded about a centimeter off the side. This, of course, I'll show you why that is. Behind that, you have the noise dampening material. This is not just a simple foam, as you can see there. And let me put aside the side panel. Take a look at the internal components. You get the manual inside as well, and a bag of components. Put this aside for a bit and go over that in detail. You have the connectors here. You get the 19-pin header for USB 3.0, and also, in case your motherboard is older, you can convert it directly with a USB 2.0 converter built in. And you also have another USB 2.0 header. Of course, it's just a single 4-pin header here, since it is only a single USB 2.0 in the front. Also, let's see here, you have a reset switch, a power switch. This is the power LED, and of course the hard drive LED. And this thing right here, it looks like a Molex connector that is for the fan. It is actually a 3-pin fan connector, and it includes a built-in Molex 3-pin to Molex converter. The area in the middle that has the optional mounting for the fan actually has the noise dampening material as mentioned, but it looks like it is glued in place, so you have to actually really physically pull it out if you want to use that area. But other than that, there is a noise dampening material here that is blocking the way. And also, of course, you get the component, you get the pre-cut CPU mounting area there. You get the cable routing options, the front, also the standoffs. Some of the standoffs are actually, for the standard ATX standoffs, they're actually part of the tray itself, so you don't need to install a standoff for those. You see that they're raised already. There is the 120mm fan in the rear, and it only has the Molex connector. It doesn't come in as a 3-pin, similar compared to the front. Also, you get the 4 5¼ inch drive bays here. These use toolless locking mechanisms. And also, you get these trays for your hard drive. These are also toolless. You just need to bend it a bit. And they also have mounting holes for mounting 2.5 inch or SSD drives. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total. And of course you get another space here for your external device that is 3.5 inch. And also, let's see if there is a routing area here. There actually is no routing area that I can see here for that top for the 8-pin ATX power supply connector. There's also a noise dampening material here at the roof. So there's noise dampening material in the bottom and also in the roof, so to further minimize the noise. Behind the right side panel, again, since they are symmetrical with the left side panel, you get the same. You get the noise dampening material as well. And here you can see the cable routing options. There is no air room here, since the cables are actually, the tray itself is actually rather folded to this area. And let me just measure the space behind the motherboard tray. It is about a centimeter, shy of a centimeter, because actually there's a little bit of room in there. So it's quite, the space is quite tight, and also it does look like, let me see if it is actually closed here on top, so you can't route the 8-pin connector here as well. You have to route it, the closest area you can route it is through here, or maybe underneath the large CPU cutout. We'll check it out later once we do our installation. There are also these loops for securing your cables once everything is installed correctly. Of course, the area right here, there is a little bit of area right here for installing your SATA cables, but they still have to go through this area since there is no pass-through area here on this side. All the cables have to go through these 3 cable routing holes, or this one right here at the bottom. And we're going to take a look at the accessories now, so we can finally go through our installation. Inside the bag of accessories, you get a speaker for your motherboard header. You get 2 of these cable ties, which are reusable. You get the 5¼ inch to 3.5 inch external converter, front panel. You get this pinout diagram for USB 2.0 audio, HD audio and HD97 audio, as well as USB 3.0. And you get a smaller bag of screws and 2 additional cable ties there, which are non-reusable. Inside this bag you get 2 more thumb screws, actually 4 more thumb screws. These ones have a sharper edge to them. You get additional standoffs. These standoffs are not the standard brass colored one, these are actually silver, see there, or chrome. And you get, see, there's 2 kinds of screws here. One is the black one with the finer thread, and you have the coarser thread silver ones here, or chrome colored. And that's pretty much all the other screws here. It pretty much repeats itself. So 2 types of screws and additional standoff inside the bag. So what we're going to do now is, of course, assemble our system, the Silentium 920, and then we'll take a look at how that performs. We'll look at the temperature benchmark results, and then you'll hear from me and conclude what I thought of the Azza Silentium 920B once I finish my installation. Alright, and if you haven't seen the installation video, click on the description below so you can see how to install components inside there. And also I expressed some of the concerns I had and my opinions on the case in the installation video, so you might want to click that and watch that video before you finish the conclusion. Well, anyway, what did I think of the Azza Silentium 920? Overall, it was a very good product. For the price, especially $89.99, puts it lower compared to the competition, which is priced around $110 to $120. Of course, understandably, there were concessions to be made, lowering the price point to $89.99. Well, they still added two fans with that. You have 1 intake and 1 rear, so that was decent. And also, they didn't concede with the quality of the foam padding. The noise dampening material was actually very good, and it worked very well even with both the intake and exhaust fans running at full 12 volt. I could barely hear them because of the noise dampening, and the build quality is also quite good compared to other sound cases I've tried lately. And also that segment, the problem is the USB connectivity. It is limited to a single USB 3.0 port and a single USB 2.0 port, although I like the fact that the USB 3.0 19-pin header had a built-in USB 2.0 converter on it, so people with older motherboards can still use it, but a single USB 3.0 and a single USB 2.0 header is quite limiting. I would have preferred if they had at least either 2 USB 2.0 ports there, or 2 USB 2.0 and just a single USB 3.0. I don't know how much they're saving by doing that, but I would have preferred it if it had those features. Also, the cable management options were quite decent for the front, but unfortunately there is no routing for the 8-pin at the top. And a concern of mine is that power supplies that don't have a long enough 8-pin connector. Luckily mine was long enough at 72 centimeters, but if yours wasn't long enough, you'd had to route it at right at the back of the video card and on top of the motherboard tray, and adding more cables on top of the motherboard kind of will add to the clutter, and it minimizes the airflow. And airflow is so important in a silent case because the airflow is quite restricted compared to high airflow designs. And the installation was quite easy because the tool-free installation works well. The caddies worked very well. They were plastic locks, but that's not a problem since they actually had markers on them. They were easy just to assemble. They're not they're not a tool-free caddy kind that was hard to bend. And also there were no clearance issues with the SATA, so I was glad with that. And also, I'm surprised that it was able to fit the HD6990 in there. There were a little bit of clearance at the edge, about 2mm of clearance, but it was still possible. So that means you can pretty much fit any card inside the Silentium 920. And it is also available in white for those who are looking for those. I know white has been kind of a hip color lately, and people are looking for alternatives to just the standard black. And other than that, the cable routing and the lack of USB really was a concern for me. But I like the performance, I like the build quality, especially for the price, and also I like some of the features. Also, one thing I forgot to mention was the optical drive that was stealth. I like the fact that you don't need to open the door to access that. But the problem is that the flap opens too far down, so it actually obscures the button, and you have to either close the optical drive tray either by pushing it or by closing it in your desktop. Unfortunately, you couldn't press the button at all. You have to kind of maneuver your finger around it, as you saw in my installation video near the end. But other than that, I love the Silentium 920. It works very well, especially for the price. But it had a couple of minor issues that were a concern of mine. Also, I forgot to mention there was a clearance issue with the power supply mounting, since there was a sound dampening material that was glued onto the middle of the floor, and it limited. I had a 180mm long power supply, and I believe the clearance was about 175mm when I measured it. It was still passable, but longer power supplies will be obstructed, so that could be a concern as well. But other than that, I have to give the Silentium 920 from Azza a silver award from High-Tech Legion. It does a very good job, but there were there was some concerns that added up in the end that kind of lowered it for my gold award, in my opinion. Other than that, this is Ron from High-Tech Legion. You can read the full review below by clicking on the link, and also you can subscribe for daily updates. You can message us on Facebook, facebook.com/High-Tech Legion, or either facebook.com/HTLReviews, or tweet us at twitter.com/High-Tech Legion. And this is Ron once again, signing out.